Today we're going to discuss whether baseball card values are really going to double in the next 5 to 6 years. If you're new here, I've been making money with baseball cards for the past 20 years, and what I've discovered is that using data has been my best advantage to making money with sports cards. So make sure you like and subscribe so you can follow along for tips and things I've learned over those 20 years. But today we're going to talk about all these headlines you might be seeing of the sports card market doubling by 2030. There's three things you're going to need to know. Number one, sports card market forecasts. This is actually from market research and consultant firms whose job it is to produce these reports for the industry, including large companies, investors, and so forth. And the reports here often cost between $3,000 and $5,000. But don't worry, you're going to get my take on this information for free today. You also see headlines for this. So Yahoo Finance article quoting one of these market research firms says that the $10 billion market will double to $20 billion by 2030. You also see reports like this about it was being a $5 billion sports card market in 2020. Here we are at 2024, probably about 10 billion, and you can see it'll be 20 billion by 2030. And one more, just so you can see, another market research firm says it'll be 27 billion by 2033. So certainly still in line with the sports card market doubling by 2030. So what does this mean for us? Well, for sure, wouldn't we love it if all of our sports cards values doubled in the next 5 or 6 years, and our Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. PSA 9 rookie cards went from $175 to $350. Certainly, I think that's a big part of it. The big part of the market is the current value of all these historic cards that people have been collecting over time. But this takes us to the second thing you need to learn. I'm actually crazy enough to look at the sports cards market. So I scrape the most recent 250,000 auctions of baseball cards, and these are the most popular cards of all time. And they're generally in the price ranges of cards that just regular people like you and I would buy, of $100 to $100 to $10,000, in that range. And so this is the data that I have so far for the past 10 years. And what's interesting enough, if you look at where the market was just 5 years ago, it really has just about doubled in the last 5 years. So their predictions of it doubling in the next 5 years or so doesn't seem too far off. The one thing I will note is that 5 years before that, the market only rose 50% instead of doubling. So instead of this 10-year market change being 4x, the chart that you see here over the last 10 years, sports card values for baseball cards have only increased by 3 times the amount, which is still great, but not quite in line with the predictions for the next 5 or 6 years. Which brings me to the third thing. One of the ways the market could grow is with new sports card products. More products like baseball cards, jumbo boxes, hobby boxes, and so forth. I think there's a good case to be made for this, that instead of just sports card values increasing, that there'll actually be more product thrown in our face. And part of it, I think, is because Fanatics has a lot on the line. Now that they are the exclusive licensee for Major League Baseball cards, and then they've acquired Topps, it is in their best interests to really take advantage of this investment that they've made and kind of push product and themselves advertise to grow the market over the next 5 to 6 years. So I do think, as a company, and a powerful company at that, Fanatics has an incentive to grow the market and baseball cards, and hopefully we all benefit from that. But one way that I don't think the market will grow in the next 5 to 6 years is through NFTs. And I know that this whole cryptocurrency trend, there's a short, brief period where even Topps was putting out NFTs. And if you're not familiar with it, it stands for non-fungible tokens, which is digital versions of baseball cards that in theory you own, but you can never hold the card. I think the reason I don't think this will be a major player in growing the sports card market over the next 5 to 6 years is because knowing that you can hold a piece of history and actually look at a sports card, I love my baseball card collection, is very different than the theoretical ownership of these images that are NFTs. Which also brings me to, I just researched and found that someone 2 years ago paid $23 million for the NFT of this CryptoPunk 5822. Now, I don't know much about NFTs. I definitely don't think it's probably worth $23 million even 2 years later. Um, but as I understand, this one has been a pretty popular one. Christie's of London, even PBS NewsHour featured this specific collection of NFTs. But I would not put my money on hoping that virtual baseball cards is the reason the market will double in the next 5 to 10 years. I think another headwind to the market doubling is the fact that TCG, or basically Pokemon trading cards, really is outpacing baseball cards in terms of graded cards today. So if you look at all the cards that are being graded through the top card graders, uh, more than almost about twice as much of them are Pokemon cards and compared to baseball cards. So, specifically looking at the baseball card market, some of the interest and demand in collecting might be siphoned off into Pokemon cards, or it could just be that baseball cards have had, 20 years of grading that Pokemon cards are just catching up with grading, and that it's not actually a sign that there's twice as much demand for Pokemon cards. I know the values aren't anywhere near where baseball cards are, but it's not something that I'm myself personally into. So hopefully this information is helpful as you think about your baseball cards and investments. I would hope, well, for all of our sakes, that the sports card market doubles in the next 2 years. And make sure you keep following and liking our videos so you can see us more often in your feed. And we'll be bringing you more data and more tips in the future. Thank you.